To say goodnight to you, because the 11 o'clock news is coming up from WMCA, 6 o'clock in New York City. I want to hear from you about Jimmy Carter and whether you care that America's got a new president, or do you feel a bit jealous because it's such an important country. Call me now, 486-7744, and as it is 6 o'clock in New York, the latest news.
From where it's being made, gathered by Network Radio's largest news staff, here is news around the world. This is Bob Windsor for American Information Radio. President-elect Carter and his family are in Washington for tomorrow's inauguration. The Carters left Plains, Georgia late this afternoon for the last time as a private family. As he left home, Mr. Carter told ABC's David Garcia and other reporters in Plains,
I think I have a chance to be a great president, but it still remains to be seen. I'm determined to do the best I can, and I think I have it within me to the extent that I can represent the American people well to achieve greatness.
Mr. Carter and wife Rosalind will attend an inaugural gala tonight at Washington's Kennedy Center and will journey to Capitol Hill tomorrow morning with President and Mrs. Ford to mark the official change in administrations. I'll have more news in a moment.
America, the beautiful, she's big and she's free. There's no place like her on this earth, and there'll probably never be. She's been a long time growing, and she's moving right along. Got to keep that beat going, like the rhythm of a song. We can't wait for tomorrow. Our Lord can't wait. We must transmit the power to our homes and factories. We gotta make the highway safe for folks like you and me. Our cars should be lighter for the most from every mile. We must clean up and recycle and make the whole world smile. We can't wait for tomorrow. Our Lord can't wait.
All of President-elect Carter's top-level appointees are cleared for Senate confirmation. Members of the Senate Judiciary Committee approved the nomination of Griffin Bell as U.S. Attorney General late today on a vote of 10-3. Democratic Senator Edward Kennedy of Massachusetts said he was supporting Bell because of his commitments to housing, government agency, and others on civil rights.
I personally believe that those commitments will be kept. And it's on that basis of his commitment in those areas that I will vote for the nomination.
Senator Kennedy. In his last day in office, President Ford ignored appeals for blanket amnesty for Vietnam draft evaders. But the president pardoned Iva Toguri Dakino. She was known to millions during World War II as one of the women who broadcast Japanese propaganda as Tokyo Rose. Mrs. Dakino turned 60 years old today, and in Chicago she had this reaction to the presidential pardon.
After all these years, it's hard for me to believe that it's all over and the pardon is really true. As you know, I have maintained my innocence from the very beginning, and I consider the pardon to be a measure of vindication.
Iva Toguri Dakino, who went to jail for 6 years, charged with being Tokyo Rose. Canada will send the U.S. 250 million cubic feet of natural gas per week for the next 2 months and 50,000 barrels of fuel oil this month to help meet growing fuel shortages in this country. It snowed in parts of Miami and Fort Lauderdale, Florida today, and about 2 inches of snow covered other parts of the Sunshine State. At the Florida Citrus Mutual Station in Lakeland, Florida, Earl Wells told ABC News,
it's almost unheard of here. We don't know what the long-term effects might be. We probably have some technicians scratching their heads right now to determine exactly what the effects of snow on citrus in Florida is. We have not had a snow of this magnitude in Florida since probably in the late 50s.
And Earl Wells says there has not been that much cold weather in Florida since the early 1960s. U.S. consumer prices rose only 0.4% in December of last year, and they were up about 4.8% for 1976. That's a big improvement over the 7% increase in the consumer price index recorded in 1975. Prices on Wall Street jumped in heavy trading. The Dow Industrials closed up 6.24 at 968.67. Volume on the New York Exchange was 27,120,000 shares. This is Information Radio News. The good news about the Consumer Price Index helped push the market higher today. Transportations, utilities, and stocks all gained on the big board, where 1,883 issues were traded. Advances led decline by 2-1, and 412 issues remained unchanged. The average price per share on the New York Exchange jumped 18 cents as the exchange index gained 0.32. On the American Exchange, sales totaled just over 4 million shares. 955 issues were traded. The Amex index up 4 cents.
Hey, what do you say? WMCA. WMCA. We listen to.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us on Radio Hotline London, New York, the world's only international call-in program. Tonight doing something new and special and different, which I hope you'll participate in. I hope you'll join us. I hope you'll enjoy it. For the next hour, thanks to the international facilities of the Foreign News Department of the BBC, and thanks tonight to the special help of the nice people at WTOP Radio in Washington, D.C., you'll be hearing what real people have to say live across the Atlantic, both on Radio London and on WMCA New York. But even more, you can talk directly to and with Londoners and New Yorkers. Tonight, we'll be talking about the inauguration of an American president now some 17 hours from taking place in Washington, D.C. We've moved the studio at the New York end tonight to Washington so that we can talk about the inauguration with you, perhaps answer some questions, and I hope get some interesting cross-conversation going about what is the meaning of a presidential inaugural.